getting into it. Hello, my name is Wolfgang.
Hi, Wolfgang.
You're so stupid.
My name is Tierney.
And this is First Ones to Die, a horror podcast.
How do we know each other?
We have been friends for... Fuck, dude. It's been 12 years. It's been like over 12.
It has been 12 years, 13 years, around there.
Ooh, the unlucky number.
Ooh.
So we met in high school, and we...
An unlucky time.
truly an evil period of our lives. And we've remained friends since through several life changes.
A lot.
Yeah, and we decided to start this podcast because we like talking about horror.
We love to talk.
And
we're talkers.
Most of the time, we'll call each other up because we just watched a movie or read a book and rant to each other and rant about bad opinions on the thing.
For 3 hours.
So we decided, you know what? Let's subject other people to this.
100%. Yeah, we need to be some of the bad opinions on the internet.
And we actually talked about this like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And we got on the conversation about what if we started doing this, and we talked about the name, and specifically we picked First Ones to Die. Because we have almost died.
We would be the first ones to die, no question.
And not necessarily because we're queer or whatever, but...
Because we're stupid.
Well, you're stupid, and I'm a dog, and that means I'm loyal.
We're both stupid. I don't think you get to say, well, you're stupid, but I'm not stupid for following you in all of your stupid decisions.
That's called friendship.
That's called also stupidity, but I don't want to be the first one to do it.
No, it's more like it doesn't occur to me to do it.
Okay, well, sorry for being the brain.
I'm the heart. The love.
Okay, what is your relationship to horror, though? Explain that.
I think
because you haven't always been.
I haven't been, but I think you should go first.
I have been chin deep in the horror waters from a very young age.
Bathed in it.
I was baptized. I was baptized as a horror lover.
Baptism where we drown you.
Yes. It's frankly the only cool thing about my mom was that she was a horror fan my whole life. So I got introduced to it at a very, very early age. So it's been a lifelong love.
And in high school, you were always into horror, so you always made your friends watch
Dragged
horror
your
films.
ass into the genre.
So I've made this joke, and Tierney's going to roll her eyes as she's done before, which is that it took me longer to come out as a horror fan than it did for me to come out as trans. And for me, I think that I fell into the trap of putting horror in a very small box. And that because I didn't like those types of movies, you know, the Jason slashers, that kind of thing.
The Jason slashers. His own genre.
Literally. Yeah. But, you know, I didn't like horror, but looking back, I also have always really loved horror. But as a kid, I really loved fantasy. And I think for some films, when I would watch a horror movie, if it was a straight horror movie like Final Destination 2 that I caught on cable and I liked it, I'm like, oh, what a weird fluke. But for other films...
And that fluke happened 200 times in a row.
It did. And even with books, like I read Coraline at the perfect age. And I loved it, and it terrified me. And I really love even scary kids media, like Courage the Cowardly Dog. That was a show I wasn't allowed to watch, and I would still sneak it because I loved it so much.
Yeah, it was iconic.
Yeah. And
Billy and Mandy. Did you ever watch that?
I watched that a couple times, but it didn't catch me in the same way.
Dude.
I think now it would because, like, Grimm's clearly they're put upon Dad.
You gotta.
Yeah. But in high school, Tierney would force me to watch through them. And again, I really liked all the movies that she showed me, but there was a part of me that's like, oh, well, this is Tierney's thing.
Because I had impeccable taste.
And you were showing me good stuff.
Because I have impeccable taste.
But it was only like a few years ago that I was like, you know, let me try try horror. And then I was like, hey, Tyr, this is really cool. And she's like, I know.
Hey, Tierney, you know this thing that you've made like a huge facet of your entire personality? I think is pretty good.
And since then, I've watched a lot of horror movies, the classics, been trying to catch up on that, and read through a lot of books too. So now I think it's one of my favorites. I think, horror is a lot of things, and I really, really enjoy it.
Horror is every woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would we be the first ones to die? Because you would follow me. That's the reason. I would go into the scary, spooky house because I'd be like, that's interesting. I want to get a good photo. And you would follow me. And then we'd end up on meat hooks.
Yep. And I would follow you and do it and be like, yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
And I also, if you were to go down, I wouldn't leave you behind.
Because that's friendship.
That's loyalty.
That's loyalty.
That's love.
Dying. Oh, bestie's dead. Guess I gotta go out with her.
If your friend was killed by an axe by some guy in the woods, what would you do? Get into that swing zone, baby.
Ride or die, literally. So let's talk about who gets to die first.
In horror movies.
In a horror movie. Well, in horror in general, but specifically slashers.
Yes.
Slashers tend to follow a much more formulaic route than any other horror subgenre.
And I think for slashers within the horror genre, they're the ones where you go to see death. Like, you go to see a really interesting
Yeah, they know what the audience is here for.
Because for some other stuff, like, psychological or creature features, like, you're really, like, creature features, you're there to see what kind of Muppet they got up on the screen.
100%. I'm there for those practical effects, baby.
And for psychological, it's more about, like, twists and turns and engaging you.
You want to think.
But slasher, I think, is the bare bones, the desire of, like, you want to see something happen.
Blood and guts. I want those intestines out. I want that blood.
Giallo red, baby.
Hell yeah. Corn syrup.
Neon.
I need it. I need it splattered.
And so in that way, the first kill is actually an honor. Like, it sets the tone.
If it's good.
If it's good.
If it's good.
It sets the tone for the rest of the movie. And even non-slashers.
Yeah, for sure. The first kill in any horror sets the tone. It introduces you to the villain. It introduces you to the plot.
To the rules.
To the rules. It really is very much an indicator. Are you going to enjoy this film or not? Sometimes. Sometimes the first kill is the only good scene. And that sucks. But for the most part, if a first kill is good, then you're in for a good time.
Yeah. And even then, the movies where the first kill is the only good one, kind of, it keeps your interest a little bit because you're like, well, maybe it'll get better. And then when the movie's done, you're just like, what wasted potential?
Yeah, but that's also kind of worse. Like, I would prefer if a bad movie was just bad all the way through. You haven't seen it, and you should never see it. But Thanksgiving... Let me talk about Thanksgiving real quick. Thanksgiving, which was a terrible movie. Don't watch it. It's literally an hour and it feels like 10. And the first kill was incredible. It was so funny. My sister and brother-in-law, who I forced to watch this movie on Thanksgiving, still regularly quote that first scene because this evil turkey muppet says to a topless pilgrim woman, "Nice tits, bitch," and then kills her. And it's fucking hilarious. And so we were all hyped. We were pumped up. It got us going. We were like, this is going to be a great time. And then it was the worst movie I've ever seen. And I have seen some really bad movies, but that one was the worst. I didn't pay to watch it. #Pirate Club. But I felt like I was owed money after watching that. I felt like I had been ripped off. Like, give me $15. And that's worse. Like, I wish that the first scene had been trash, so then we could have just been like, okay, let's watch something else.
And not waste your time.
And not waste our time waiting to see if it gets as funny as it was in the first 5 minutes, which it didn't. So I'd rather just know from the jump.
And I think that's where we differ with how we consume media, because I find a lot of interest in trash. I find interest in when you see something and you can understand exactly what that writer-director wanted and how they failed.
I like to watch bad things. Wolfgang says. Okay, Mr. Oh, it took me a long time to acknowledge that horror was multifaceted and interesting. Meanwhile, I like to watch garbage.
Just like horror, I too am multifaceted and interesting. But on the subject of bad first kills, what are some good first kills that are memorable to you?
So, my list, and I narrowed this shit down because I could go on for an hour just on this topic alone, just my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But first, and these are in no order, I don't have a hierarchy for this, but Casey and Scream, obviously, come on, changed the game, iconic, changed the world, you know, and then changed horror, changed the world, changed me. Bo in A Quiet Place, I had to look that up. I didn't know his name. I just called him the little boy. But Bo in A Quiet Place, the little boy.
Very good.
Holy shit. Talk about setting the tone.
Setting the rules. Anyone can die.
Setting the rules, setting the tone. Holy shit. Walked into that theater, did not expect that. Claire in Black Christmas.
Ooh.
1974, the first slasher. I don't care what anybody else says. First slasher, one of the best slashes of all time. Claire, who is the first to die in the first slasher film, and she's the good girl.
Yep.
She is the good girl TM. She is by all rights supposed to be the final girl. Judged by any other slasher movie, she would have been the final girl. She doesn't drink, she doesn't do drugs, she doesn't fuck around. She's clearly kind of uncomfortable with the other girls in the house and their, you know, whorish behavior. That's a nicer way to put it. I say whorish in a complimentary fashion. But yes, and she dies first, right out the gate.
Yep.
Incredible. And also her kill is just good. It's just good. Coming out of the closet, you know, that's a monster.
And the horror of it, it's a plastic bag suffocation.
Yeah, oh man. And she's like, her corpse haunts the rest of the film. Mm-hmm. Because no one ever knows that she's up there. They never even find her.
Nope.
Kane in Alien. I had to look his name up too.
That's the thing about slashers is sometimes they're like, these are just meat for the grinders. Just get the names out. Alex, Trixie.
Right, yeah.
Simon,
like I guess we can call him Kane. You know, it's the future. Everyone has a gender neutral name.
Throw a K in there for some spice.
Yeah. Kane and Alien. I mean, the chestburster scene. Come on.
And what a great jump scare use of tension, because
everything has been building up.
Yes, it's the rubber band that it, like, when they're outside in the airlock for quarantine, the rubber band pulling and then easing and then pulling and then snapping out of the rib cage.
Well, and you think he's dead.
Yep.
Way before then. You see him get attacked in the pod room. You think this man's dead. And then his buddies are trying to get him into the med bay, so he's not dead yet, but he's basically on death's door. I mean, any minute now, he's gonna die. And then he gets through, they fix him up, he seems fine, everyone is just relieved and having a great old time at the family dinner table, and boom. I mean, boom, sperm alien. And then I put the whole damn cruise in Ghost Ship. Which I don't know if you've seen.
You've shown me that first scene.
That scene is incredible.
Because you're like, this is the only thing worth watching.
It is. Ghost Ship. Now, see, here's the thing. Ghost Ship is another example of first kill. Incredible. Incredible. Iconic. Incredible. Wonderful. Loved it. Was ready for more, and the more never came. But it wasn't the same as Thanksgiving because it still had fun moments through the rest of the film. So it was like a little more bearable to get through. It didn't feel like such a waste of time. But
you didn't feel owed the price of a movie.
No, I didn't. Again, pirated that one as well.
Pirated the Ghost Ship.
I pirated the Ghost Ship. Hey, give me all your ghosts. Anyway, give me that little girl. I'll raise her. And that's my list.
Okay.
What are your favorite first kills?
I was going to agree with you with Casey from Scream because everything you said, iconic.
I mean, come on.
Literally changed horror. And along with that, for a slightly different reason, the first kill of Fear Street, 1999. And specifically the way that those two are in conversation with each other and how the context and what you assume changes with Fear Street.
Again, very final girl energy, only to become the first kill.
Yep. And along with, similar to Jennifer of Jennifer's Body in the Evil Dead remake. I forget her name. I'm sure you know it.
Mia?
Yes. The way that she's the first to die.
So I was going to include her on my list.
I was waiting for it.
But I didn't because she's not the first kill in the film.
Oh.
The first kill in the film is that cutscene. It's a girl and her dad.
Oh, right.
And like a bunch of their neighbors, I'm assuming.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, let me not. But no, I totally agree. As far as I'm concerned, Mia is the first kill. She's the first kill that we care about.
Yeah, not the first kill. Keith David and Nope.
Okay.
And again, for kind of similar reasons with Fear Street. Number one, it's drawn out. Like, he doesn't just die at first. And so I think, like, when you bodily feel a death.
Yeah.
That's what sticks with me. And when you feel like him rasping to the hospital, trying, to remember the horse's names just to stay conscious, and then him dead on the autopsy table. And the fact that the coin went through his eye.
Yeah.
And what that means in the film. You know what? I actually liked the first kill in Terror Train.
What was the first kill in Terror Train?
That was the really gay one with Jamie Lee Curtis. And
I know. I remember Terror Train. I don't remember the first kill.
The first kill is when they're getting ready to board the train, and you have the guy in, like, the Groucho Marx.
Oh, yeah,
and
like the class clown or whatever.
You think he's boarded, and then they all get on, and the train starts to leave, and the actual kid is there with his sword through him, and he's, like, stumbling, trying to get attention.
That's right. And that was good.
Yep, and that starts at where you can't trust anyone.
Yeah. What a confusing movie. In that it confused me on how to feel about it.
Exactly. That feels almost like an episode later. Like,
yeah, we'll talk about that one.
That's a one where it's like, yeah, there's some really good things about it, but
divorced from all nonsense context. I liked it.
I also really liked In Wreck and Quarantine, where the first real kill you see is, Quarantine specifically, where it's like the housekeeper dead on the floor. And at that point, you don't understand that old lady is already dead.
Yeah.
And again, where it sets the tone of, something's wrong, but you don't know quite the extent yet. Like, the cop and the firemen are dying. They're not dead yet.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time you see the maid dead on the floor, it's like, nope, they're not making it.
They're toast. Ready for the game?
All right, what's this game?
Okay, so I have 5 villains and then 5 weapons.
Okay.
And we're each going to do this. So you're going to have one round and then I'll have another and so on and so forth. And you're going to pick a villain and a weapon, and you're going to decide if you would be able to survive in that situation. You're going up against this villain with this weapon.
Okay.
Do you make it?
Okay.
Select.
Jigsaw from the Saw franchise.
Select. We're going Jigsaw from the first Saw movie because it gets kind of complicated after that.
And I have an axe.
Would you make it?
I'm going to say yes, because I would be willing to cut my foot off to survive.
Okay. I thought you were going to be like, I would axe Jigsaw in the face.
I'm going with the idea that he's put me in a trap.
Okay.
A la the first movie. Like, me going up against him is within the rules of that franchise.
That's fair.
I have been put in a trap because I enjoy substances.
You're also mentally ill.
Yeah. Oh, good point.
Yeah. You also struggled to come out. I could see that happening.
No, come out without your foot.
He puts you in a torture chamber that's just a closet.
But it's shards of glass that if you try to
it's like horrible. It's a horrible closet. And he's like, this is the reality of internalized homophobia.
Don't think too hard about the fact that I put you in there by force.
I'm an ally.
All right, what do you got?
I've got the entity from It Follows.
Oh.
And I have a handgun. Okay, so actually, in the movie, like, if you shoot the entity a whole lot, it does go away for a while. And the thing is, I have a leg up on this bitch. I have said this since watching It Follows. The Entity is the horror movie villain that I think I would have the easiest time surviving. Not because I don't have sex. I'm tired of people being like, oh, I just wouldn't have sex. Okay, well, now you've been drugged and the entity STD has been forced upon you. Engage with the scenario. So I'm still out there eating pussy. But I am a flight attendant, for those who don't know. And I'm on planes every week, flying all over the place. This bitch would get tired and give up before I stopped moving. I would just outmaneuver her.
I feel like, not that that movie needs a sequel, but that could be a really interesting metaphor for getting complacent, where like maybe you...
Oh, okay, complacency kills. Fine.
With like maybe like maybe you did a quick turn and all of a sudden, and you weren't as, you know, conscientious, and all of a sudden the boarding door closes and you realize the entity is on the plane with you.
This bitch is moving so slow. You've seen the movie.
I have.
Even a quick turn that's hundreds of miles.
But
a quick turn is like a minimum still like 70 miles. This bitch is moving at a snail's pace.
I know, but what I mean is if you are not conscious of where you last saw it and how far you get, I'm not saying you personally, I'm saying like you could take that idea of complacency until you're trapped with it.
Okay, but here's the thing. I have a handgun.
Ghostface from Scream.
We're going to say the first Scream.
Okay. And I have a wood chipper. You know what? I feel like I could, because one of the things that I liked about the first Scream is that you got the sense that that was a real person in a costume. Like they stumble.
Mm-hmm. Ghostface is clumsy as fuck.
Yeah, and like when you like really attack and fight back, they have to react to that. It's not like a Michael Myers or a Jason Voorhees where it's like, yeah, he's a person, quote unquote, but he acts more like a metaphor. Like, no, Ghostface is some dickhead in a mask. Yeah. So I feel like I could fight him back and at least knock him out long enough to shove him in the wood chipper.
I would love to see that in a Scream sequel. I don't know if another Scream sequel is going to happen.
Already in the can.
Yeah. So, but if it did, I could see Sam putting a ghost face in a wood chipper 100%. She's that bitch. I have the tall man from Phantasm.
Ooh. Boy!
And I have a machete, which is my weapon of choice. Yeah, all right. I'll cut this bitch's knees off. I'll make him the short man. This man's going to be 4 feet tall by the time I'm done.
But he's not human.
He's not human, so what? The entity's not human either, and I still think I could rock that bitch. I could make the entity's life miserable. This bitch is following me across the country. This bitch is following me across the ocean. Eventually, she's just gonna give up.
I'm just picturing your handgun as a metaphor for, like, antibiotics for STDs.
I'm on prep!
Alright, and last one.
This one we'll do together, because I didn't think this through, so I didn't make 6.
Oh, we have... Okay, so we're fighting him together. Pennywise from It.
Oh my god, okay, friends. Best friends fighting Pennywise. Oh.
Serendipity.
We've got a chainsaw.
Oh, hell yeah, we're killing this
I
clown.
think together we could kill this clown.
Yeah. Alright, so that's us versus horror villains.
That's us versus horror villains. Did we say, were there any that we thought we couldn't take? Being honest, I don't know that I could take the tall man, I'll be honest. I'd tug a big game, but push come to shove, I'd probably see him do his little supernatural shit. Whatever he does in Phantasm. Phantasm's weird. Whatever he does, and I'd be like... Turn into
a hot woman?
Yeah. Oh, God. No, he would get me. Oh, my God. No, he would.
You're gonna be one of those little...
I would.
Little short freaks.
I'd be trying to hook up in a graveyard. No, he would get me. Okay, retroactive.
I want to be clear when I said...
The tall man would beat my ass.
When I said
get me.
Beating Jigsaw, I just meant beating the trap. I'm not defeating him with the axe. I'm just...
He's an old man with cancer. You could beat his ass. Jigsaw is one of the weakest fucking villains in the world. I feel like I could beat Jigsaw raw-handed.
Right, but I was doing it from the idea of, like, you're put in that bathroom in the beginning. You don't,
yeah.
You don't know that he's laying there on the floor.
That's
taking
true.
a nap.
I'll be honest, if I was in a saw trap, I would just be like, kill me, whatever. He'd be like, prove that you want to live, and I'd be like, I don't.
You just watch the timer go down as the reverse bear trap
Yeah,
snaps.
I don't give a shit, whatever. That seems like a sudden death. Seems like it'd be over really quickly.
It does. I think the goal is right now, we'll do one episode that's investigative, where we talk about themes and all that.
This was that investigative episode, by the way. Wouldn't you describe it that way?
Investigation of ourselves, I guess. And as we are both flight attendants, we are going to have an episode to go along that is just us reacting to horror movies that take place on planes. That's the only criteria.
I'm so excited. And before anyone gets worried, there are enough movies that are horror movies set on planes for us to do this.
We will never run out
I
of
looked
content.
into it. There's so many more than you think there are.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing the change in quality.
Oh, I'm so excited to share them with you.
Because like when we do investigative, it's because we like something.
Yeah.
And we want to talk about it, and it is
or
good.
potentially because we hate something.
Yes,
and
but we have
wanna
strong
talk about
feelings. It'll be funny to go from like a horror movie that we think is really good on a plane, like, oh my gosh, this was great. And then the next month, like, well, it was a film.
Snakes on a Plane versus Flight of the Living Dead. Snakes on a Plane is incredible, by the way. It's my favorite airplane movie of all time.
I can't believe it took you so long to force me to watch it.
I can't either. I think I just kept assuming that you'd seen it because I walk through life thinking, of course people have seen this iconic film just because it's iconic to me. And so I just never, like The Crow. I'm always shocked when people say that they haven't watched The Crow. I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, what is that?
There's our introduction.
There's our investigation for the month of January. Next up, Quarantine 2.